Next, on Currents News, record highs for coronavirus infections and hospitalizations here in the U.S. and around the globe. Pope Francis calls to congratulate Joe Biden on his projected win, what the two men spoke about. Why St. Francis College in Brooklyn Heights is attracting so many new students. Plus, we'll meet the 9-year-old entrepreneur from Saint Ephrems in Bay Ridge who is teaching a lesson in charity. The news starts right now. Good evening, I'm Christine Persichetti. We begin with breaking news. The Diocese of Brooklyn is petitioning the Supreme Court to overturn Governor Cuomo's severe COVID restrictions on worship at church. The diocese issuing a statement this afternoon saying, in part, we remain committed to reopening our churches safely and to vindicate our First Amendment rights. We are confident we will prevail for the good of our churches and those of faith who want to operate safely yet continue to suffer under the restrictions. The emergency Supreme Court petition was filed November 9th. Last month, a federal court denied a request by the diocese to temporarily lift the governor's restrictions on mass attendance in churches throughout Brooklyn and Queens. New stricter COVID restrictions go into place in New York starting Friday night. Governor Cuomo announced the new measures Wednesday. He is limiting indoor and outdoor gatherings at private residences statewide to no more than 10 people. The governor blames these types of gatherings for an uptick in cluster cases. In addition, restaurants and bars will have to close by 10 p.m. Gyms, health clubs, and bowling alleys must also close nightly at 10 p.m. Meanwhile, Mayor de Blasio says New York City's COVID positivity rate is now 2.6%. He says if it reaches 3%, schools will close. Despite protocols, COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations are hitting record highs here in the U.S. and around the world. Health officials say the pandemic will likely play a major factor into the new year.
I am really frightened by the spike that we're seeing in cases right now.
There are more than 10 million known COVID-19 cases in the U.S., and nearly every state is seeing a rise in week-to-week infections. That's according to Johns Hopkins University. And although drug makers like Pfizer and Moderna are making medical strides,
vaccination is not going to be a fairy tale ending to the pandemic. We're still going to be dealing with it at least through most or all of 2021 and quite possibly beyond that.
Meanwhile, China says it is moving full steam ahead in the race for a vaccine, while reports say cases in the communist country are increasingly rare due to strict lockdowns and mass testing. This is a testing site in Japan, which is facing a third wave of infections. India's capital region also seeing its highest daily increase in cases. Doctors blame the rise on people not following social distancing rules. That could be the case in Sweden, too. The country plans to ban alcohol sales after 10 p.m. and close bars and restaurants at 10:30. Spain is putting restrictions on visitors from high-risk countries, now requiring travelers to show proof of a negative test. And in Italy, a grim milestone. The country's Ministry of Health says Italy has just passed 1 million cases. Back here in the U.S., until a vaccine is available, health officials say we should take action to prevent the virus from spreading even faster.
Wear a mask. Also make note that if you are sick, don't go into the public. If you have symptoms that are similar to what might be COVID, be sure and get tested. And then isolate yourself and quarantine away.
The Trump White House's coronavirus task force is warning about the accelerating spread of COVID-19 and is calling on several states to expand testing, especially to help identify asymptomatic cases. The Vatican is providing free coronavirus tests for the homeless. It's happening at a medical clinic in St. Peter's Square. It's part of the Vatican's initiatives for World Day of the Poor, which is being celebrated this Sunday. Pope Francis will also celebrate Mass in the Basilica with the homeless. Something remarkable and very positive is coming to light during the pandemic. The number of young people who are inspired by nurses are applying to nursing schools in record numbers. Currents News' Emily Drewby has the story from St. Francis College in Brooklyn Heights.
Nurses, they've been on the front lines of the pandemic. Their fight has inspired patience, donations, even applause. Now, their fight is inspiring students.
We've seen incredible growth in the number of applicants to our nursing program.
St. Francis College went from 450 nursing applications last year to 850 this year. The school's director of recruitment, Robert Oliva, says seeing healthcare workers during the pandemic had a strong influence on many students.
I think there are more and more people who really want to make a difference in the world.
Nalini Rangalam is one of them.
Helping people is kind of like my calling.
The freshman nursing student has always wanted to help people. The pandemic solidified that.
I've seen how it's affected like my family personally with Corona, other families. It's very devastating.
Same for incoming freshman Francesca Parisi.
The fact that people are out there right now helping others in such a hard time honestly motivates me even more.
Parisi is also inspired by her mother, who works in the medical field. She always wanted to go to nursing school, but was unable to. It's not just St. Francis College. Nursing schools across the country have noticed the uptick. Oliva said their school has a top-notch nursing program, complete with these fully equipped nursing labs. They even have cameras in the ceiling so that they can watch back what they did, critique it, and get better next time.
I was like, wow, like this is where I'm gonna learn which type of nursing I want to do. The fact that they have all this like advanced technology to learn that, I think is amazing.
The influx of applications is a small silver lining in a very dark year. More people inspired to help others, which isn't just an essential part of being a nurse, it's an essential part of being Catholic. In Brooklyn Heights, Emily Druby, Currents News.
The process of applying to college is usually complicated for any high school senior. This year, it's even more frustrating because of the pandemic. But the tablet is trying to make it easier. The newspaper is sponsoring a virtual college fair. Greg Ficara, the operations director of Career Council, is here to tell us all about it. And Greg, normally when kids are thinking about which schools to apply to, they just take a drive out to that school for the day and tour it. At least that's what I did when I was applying to schools. You're saying now you can tour online. Tell us what that looks like.
Yeah, Christine. Well, I think, what we're trying to achieve here is basically as close as we can get to being in person and being on campus. And the colleges and universities that participate in our tours have the opportunity to build a virtual booth, if you will. It would be just like a booth that you might see if you attended an in-person college fair. And that booth is just chock full of information. So you can really virtually gather a lot of information and hopefully lead to a safe and within regulations visit. I think it's like the first step, Christine.
All right. So what would you say are the benefits of virtual tours?
Well, number one, let's be realistic. In this time that we're in now with the regulations and the safety factors that we need to follow, it's kind of the only show in town. You may be able to visit campuses, but I think, again, in that mode of a first step, you don't have to go anywhere. I'm sitting in my home office. You can click on, you can interact, you could speak with admissions counselors, you can view all the options, everything from information about the campus, information about the majors, housing, scholarships available, funding and financing, all of those type of things are at your fingertips, and you can do that from wherever you are, parents and students.
Yeah, so you can go to even more colleges than you would if you had to actually travel to them. Do you have any tips for high school students who are going through this process?
Yeah, sure. First off, I would say that prior to the event, Christine, it's wise if the students and their parents can develop some questions that are important to them. Then when you're in the booth, if you have the opportunity to speak to them, which you will, you have those questions prepared. Secondly, I know it's human nature. Mom and Dad, you and I were talking about it a little bit before we started to talk on the air. Tuition to many people is a big issue, and I understand that. That's important. Mm-hmm. But in the experience that I've gained, don't let tuition be the only criteria for looking at a college, because there are grants available, there are scholarships available. What you see as the initial tuition may not be the end result. So don't make that your criteria. Also, I know going in, it's helpful to have a a top list of schools that you might be interested in, but I think it's beneficial to keep an open mind because the event we're talking at, there's nearly 70 colleges. Christine, some of them are from Europe. They're not even in the United States. And you may find a perfect fit for you of a college that you've never even heard of. And then finally, I say this all the time, whether it's, Christine, it's in person or virtual, which is what we're talking about, the college admissions people that you're speaking to may be the same people that are evaluating your application to their school. So first impressions are very important. Bring your A game.
All right, some good tips there. Greg Ficarra, Operations Director of Career Council. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Christine. Good luck.
The virtual college fair is tomorrow. There are 2 sessions, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. To get a head start on registering, just head to nyc.educationconnectlive.com. Registration closes at 7 tomorrow morning. For more information and to check out the complete online college directory to see which colleges you would like to tour, head on over to thetablet.org. There's a lot more news ahead. Pope Francis calls Joe Biden, offering his congratulations. We'll tell you what else they spoke about. Plus, Archbishop Wilton Gregory of Washington, D.C. will make history later this month, becoming the first African American to become a Cardinal. Bishop DiMarzio shares why this is so important. And
she's defying the odds one by one and bead by bead. I'm Jessica Easthope with the giving hands behind these handmade creations.
Now you can help us put your faith in the news. The next time you capture a newsworthy event, send us your pictures or video. It's easy. Go to netny.tv/send us, and you may see your submission on Currents News.
Pope Francis has congratulated Joe Biden as the projected winner of the presidential election. The Holy Father made the call to Biden today. According to his transition team, Biden thanked the Pope and praised him for his leadership in promoting peace, reconciliation, and the common bonds of humanity around the world. Biden will be the second ever Catholic president after John F. Kennedy. Congratulations are also in order for the Catholic Church's 13 new cardinals, among them a historic first, Archbishop Wilton Gregory of Washington. In just over 2 weeks, he'll become the first African American to earn a red hat. The Bishop of Brooklyn has known the Archbishop for many years. Bishop DiMarzio is with Ed Wilkinson, the Tablet's editor emeritus now, and they're talking about why Wilton Gregory was a great choice. Ed.
Thank you, and Bishop DiMarzio is with us again today. Bishop, we're going to talk about a couple of different topics today that have been in the headlines. First of all, the Holy Father surprised us with a new group of cardinals, and among them is the first African-American cardinal here in the United States, Wilton Gregory from Washington, D.C. What was your reaction to these appointments, and why do you think he chose Archbishop Gregory?
Well, I think that's a very good choice. I've known Archbishop Gregory for as many years as I've been associated with the conference. Remember, I went to the conference in 1985. I worked there, and just for a brief period of a few years before I became an auxiliary bishop, I was always at the conference. And he's there that whole time. We're ordained about the same amount of years, bishop. So he's a good friend, someone that you can speak to, very down to earth, and very insightful. Mm-hmm. I think his move to Washington, D.C. Was important to give a new face to the church there, and that his stature in the United States is one that deserves a cardinalatial see, and his position within the church as a cardinal, I think, is very important to the church today. Mm-hmm. It shows the racial diversity of our church and the leadership that is more diverse as our people. Mm-hmm.
The fact that he is African American, do you think that is significant, and the Holy Father was making a statement by that?
Well, I'm sure it had an effect. I mean, it certainly was considered, but I think, again, he's got the merits to deserve it, besides the image that it portrays.
Mm-hmm. And another good friend of yours was named the Cardinal Silvano Tomasi. Can you say something about him and how you felt what his qualifications were?
Well, Silvano Tomasi is a Scalabrinian priest. And again, I worked with him since 1972. He was the founder of the Center for Migration Studies in Staten Island. And as I was doing my studies, and social work, and then the doctorate, I worked very closely with him in his center. Today, in fact, I'm the president of the board of the Center for Migration Studies. He has returned to Rome. He was retired. He's just 80 years old, but he will be a cardinal. And I think it shows that the Holy Father is very interested in the issue of migration, because he's devoted his whole life to that study. He was in the UN in Geneva. He represented the church there, and he was a nuncio in Ethiopia. And he started a university there, actually, in Ethiopia, that he was able to get moving on that. So he's got a lot of qualifications, a lot of history in migration, and a good friend. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to go to the consistory because of the travel restrictions that we have today, but I certainly have already wished him well, and will continue to follow whatever he does as cardinal.
Sure. On another topic, Bishop, we're being forced to do things in different ways because of the COVID pandemic. And one of the things is a lot of the social gatherings that we have are not taking place. But the Futures in Education Gala went on as planned as a virtual celebration this year. What do you think of this use of media, social media, in place of in-person dinners?
Well, certainly it's a good substitute. It's not like the real thing, but it's close for what many people are getting involved. And it's hard to say what many annual events that we've been used to have been canceled.
Yeah.
We got to start them again when this is over. I don't know. It's hard to say. Some of the in-person meetings now I know will take place by Zoom. It's so much easier. Eliminates travel in our own diocese. So yes, I think things have changed, and some things will stay the same going forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a whole new world. Bishop, thank you so much for being with us today and for those insights. And
okay.
Now we're going back to the news desk.
Thanks, Ed. Turning our attention now to Florida. Tropical storm Eta is pounding the state's west coast. The governor there expanding the state of emergency as Catholic Charities in the Diocese of St. Petersburg is urging everyone to stay prepared and stay safe. Daryl Forges is in Tampa with the latest.
It's the storm that just won't go away. Tropical storm Eta pummeling Florida's west coast from Fort Myers to Cedar Key as the storm makes landfall for the fourth time since forming more than a week ago, bringing with it torrential rain, tropical storm force wind, and a dangerous storm surge, flooding streets up and down the coast.
Got a little deep there.
On Wednesday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis expanded the state of emergency to include 13 counties along the western part of the state, as areas in South Florida, including Miami and the Keys, are still reeling from Eta's impact earlier this week.
I didn't think it was going to be quite this bad. There's a lot of water and it's really windy.
Eta made its first landfall in Central America last Tuesday as a Category 4 hurricane, leaving dozens dead and forcing tens of thousands of evacuations before slowly traveling north to Cuba. And Eta is not alone this week as subtropical storm Theta formed Monday night in the Atlantic, making 2020 officially the most active hurricane season on record. In Tampa, Florida, I'm Daryl Forges.
Still to come on Currents News, cuteness overload, how students at Our Lady of Grace Catholic Academy are safely socially distanced and getting in their exercise. Plus, her name is Gigi. She's a 9-year-old from Brooklyn who started her own business and is now paying it forward. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number, 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. Some students at a school in the Diocese of Brooklyn got up from their desks to get down. The These first graders showing off their dancing skills in their classroom at Our Lady of Grace Catholic Academy. Proof that you can stay in shape safely, which is something to remember as holiday eating looms ahead. A young girl from another Catholic academy in Brooklyn is getting creative to help others. She's a little business owner with a big heart. Currents News' Jessica Easthope has her story.
A red and blue and an orange and blue.
There's nothing 9-year-old Gigi Solitario wanted more than a puppy.
I started making bracelets to earn money for a puppy.
Yours is more crystal-like.
Gigi's mom, Jill, suggested she use her creativity to raise money for a dog. But Gigi's goal quickly developed into something more.
That one idea turned into, oh wait, I have enough money to adopt a dog. Now I want to help others.
With some colorful beads and time on their hands during the pandemic, Gigi and Jill started Gigi's Creations, a business on Instagram selling handmade bracelets, anklets, and something Gigi knew people would really need.
We decided to make a mask holder so you could hold your mask right around your neck. And the pink.
As the business grew, Gigi began giving the money to charities. She picks a different one every month and has donated more than $1,000.
This is our pet Bowser.
Gigi's favorite charity is Save the Turtles, so it was an easy pick for her first donation.
I like helping them because all the turtles keep on getting stuck in plastic and getting hurt and stuff. Mask holder in, like this.
If Gigi's giving spirit wasn't inspiring enough, Jill says there was a time when she thought her daughter would never be able to make something so intricate.
What do you think?
A few years ago, Gigi was diagnosed with the eye disorder exotropia.
Her eyes went outward. Sometimes she was seeing blurry vision.
After months of intensive eye therapy didn't work, the only option was surgery. But Gigi came out on top and is now defying the odds, bead by bead. Tied into every one of Gigi's creations is faith.
All right, thank you.
Jill says she's taken what she's learned at home and at her school, Saint Ephrems, and is wearing it right on her sleeve.
She's always thinking of others. She's always helping others. Our Catholic faith is kind of all tying it together.
With the same care and consideration she puts into picking each bead, Gigi is in the process of picking a great shelter to find her dog. She started out raising money to get something she wanted. Now, Gigi is more focused on what she can give and spreading happiness, one bracelet at a time.
This is what it looks like.
In Bay Ridge, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
And finally tonight, a chance to give back just like Gigi. Thanksgiving is exactly 2 weeks from today, and the Little Sisters of the Poor are asking for your help to make it a happy one for the elderly who live at Queen of Peace residence in Queens Village. They're hosting their annual turkey and ham drop, food that will be used for the residents' Thanksgiving and for future meals. You can drop off your turkey or ham this Saturday, November 14th, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Just bring them to Queen of Peace residence, which is located at 11030 221st Street in Queens Village. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. I hope to see you again next time.